So a couple of days ago, I made a video discussing my experience living here in China for like the past almost 3 years now. And in one of the sections, I discussed like the struggles that I faced when it comes to making friends here. And I got mostly, not mostly, like majority of the comments that I got were very positive and they were understanding. But there are one or two that I feel like not necessarily misunderstood me, but they had a little bit of pushback, and I decided to make this video to not necessarily like address that, but to further expand on the things that I didn't get to cover in that video originally. Because when you're making a video trying to summarize 3 years of experience into just like 35 minutes, like of course there are going to be like certain things that you're going to be missing out on, and for the sake of brevity, and also just like nobody has time to listen to someone yap for like ages and ages. Certain things got lost, or I didn't cover it in that much depth. So that's kind of like the aim of today's video, is just to like elaborate a little bit further on why I think I'm currently 29 years old and not having any like friends around. And yeah, just to like give some perspective in terms of like, I like to look at things from a macro perspective first, and then try to understand like what are the factors at play in terms of like behind the scenes that might be impacting my experience, and then try to like zoom in onto like a micro level, and then I'll be using like myself as like a personal like a little case study for why I think I am lonely, and why does my opinion on this matter? It doesn't, but I'm gonna give it anyway. And if you're into if you're into listen, my English is just disappearing. Anyway, if you're interested in listening to me like yap about this for the next God knows how many minutes, please grab a beverage or a little snack. I just had breakfast, so I've got like lots of caffeine in me right now. So yeah, I will be talking about just like the global loneliness epidemic on like a grander scale. However, this is by no means like an academic, what's the word? Video essay. This is just me thinking out loud, essentially, as to why I think I'm here in the situation that I'm currently in. So yeah, the global loneliness epidemic has been something that I've seen so many videos cover, and a lot of them are pretty like good in terms of like discussing how late stage capitalism has kind of fucked us all over in so many ways that, like I said, like some of us are not able to make friends. And that sounds very vague, but bear with me, and I will be like guiding you step by step into like the conclusion that I've reached. So yeah, capitalism is kind of capitalism has fucked us over in the sense that we have lost, and by we I mean like people in most countries have lost access to third spaces. And if you don't know what a third space is, basically it's this concept of, I mean, you can kind of like guess, because I think the word itself is like pretty self-explanatory, but for those of you who aren't aware, like your home would be your first space, and your second space could be going to school or work. So these are the spaces that you like occupy the majority of your day in. And then a third space would be a place where you kind of go there to fulfill like communal and social needs. So for a lot of us who maybe grew up religious, that would be going to church or whatever groups that you might have belonged to, or just hanging out in restaurants or cafes or just like open public spaces. And for various reasons, these spaces have been disappearing, or if they're not disappearing, they've been made like very expensive to access. And yeah, it's just, that sucks. Like, it really does. So yeah, the fact that like you need to go outside and spend like a shit ton of money just to like hang out with friends is definitely something that, as the global affordable like living expenses are just like on the rise across the board, people are not having enough disposable income. What is it? Disposable income to go and hang out somewhere. And from what I've also seen, like other restaurants or cafes or places are becoming like a lot more hostile if they notice that you're lingering or loitering longer than they feel that you need to be there for. So I definitely feel for people who are struggling with just like making connections in real life, who are no longer like in spaces where they have like a huge volume of people that they can like potentially connect with, which in my case was university. And yeah, so making friends is kind of just like hard across the board. Doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, what you look like. And what you look like is something that I will be touching on later because I had another comment on one of my videos. Yeah, okay, I'll be discussing that later. So yeah, third spaces are disappearing. And that's forcing a lot of us to like be spending a lot more time online than what's healthy. And also the fact that these companies know how our monkey brains work and they're trying to make their apps as addictive as possible is really not helping. So I really feel for our generation. Like I'm like exactly on the cusp of like millennial and Gen Z. So for Gen Z and younger guys, like it's tough out here. And then yeah, the fact that COVID was not that long ago, guys, I think a lot of us forgot how like catastrophic that was for our social muscles. And I definitely think that I have a little bit of rust still remaining from just like being inside for all those years. And yeah, I think people are, at least my generation, like we're really struggling to connect with one another. And yeah, so that would be like just a macro level perspective. And then if I were to like zoom in a little bit onto my specific experiences. So as I mentioned here, I'm living in China, and there are aspects of both my culture / personality that aren't necessarily meshing that well with people here, I guess. And then I also kind of like, I don't know how to really like explain that in a way that doesn't sound like I'm generalizing, but at some point you can draw like conclusions if you've been paying attention to certain patterns. And by those patterns, I mean that in most homogenous societies, and that means like societies where there aren't that much racial or ethnic diversity. Not to say that there isn't ethnic diversity here in China, because I know that there's lots of like little ethnic groups, but for the most part, like majority of people here are of Han descent, and the influence of like Confucianism and all the other good stuff, patriarchy, whatever, like is very present still in just like, I think, how people navigate life here. And for me, coming from like a very different society, of course, there's going to be certain things that, even though I have my degree in Chinese studies, there are going to be things that I'm going to be inevitably struggling with. And then even that struggling is not going to be exclusive to just being in China, because I swear to God, like anywhere that you go, you are probably going to struggle as a foreigner. But to further just like elaborate, I remember when I had an interview with my recruiter for like my job that I currently have, and he asked me about my proficiency level in Chinese, and I said I'm fairly proficient. Like I studied Chinese at university, so I'm a little bit more fluent than most, but I still feel like I could be, for someone who studied it at like as like a major, I could be a lot better than where I'm currently at. So he just straight up told me like, oh, you will never be accepted by Chinese people. And that kind of sat at the back of my head because for two reasons. Like, I don't want to be Chinese, number one. I really don't want to be. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but I feel like the idea of wanting to be another nationality makes no sense to me. Like, I'm very proud of being South African, even though there's a fuck ton wrong with my country. But yeah, so I'm like, why would you tell me that? Because just because you're interested in a society or learning about another country's culture doesn't mean you want to be part of the, like, I had no delusions about that. Is what I'm trying to like get to. But after being here for 3 years, I get what he meant by that. So I think also I have to bring in like the idea of like definitions here and how I differentiate my relationships, like romantic and platonic and otherwise. So for me, I'm someone who's very, very intentional about my friendships. I do not take friendship very lightly, and I don't use the word friend very lightly either. So what I did not mention in my original video is that I didn't distinguish that well between like acquaintances and friends. Like, I do have a fuck ton of acquaintances, but as I said, like, I'm very much lacking in terms of like having those deep and intimate relationships that I feel that I need to nourish my soul. So making acquaintances is not an issue here. And for me, I've noticed that a lot of people don't really like take the time to just like think about what their framework for relationships in general are. And for me, I have like a very like, not a specific model, but I can draw you a map of how I navigate my social life. And like I said, I don't think people like really differentiate between that as much. And so that's something that I wanted to like clarify and just say that that I can make acquaintances, no problem, but building friendships, it's not that easy. Just as an adult in general, doesn't matter where you are. So the factors that like let me like break down what I mean by like acquaintances and friends. So acquaintances, like, if you know what the fucking word means, it's just like people that you know, that you maybe like have polite interactions with on a frequent enough basis that you don't view them as a stranger. So yeah, I've had plenty of those. And the thing is, for me to move you from like the camp of acquaintance into like my more intimate circle of friend, and then even within the circle of friends, I have like my closer friends. For me to move you into those pockets, it takes a shit ton of time. And I am someone who's very observant. I like to take my time getting to know people. I can know you for years and I would not consider you a friend. I would use the word friend maybe because acquaintance is like a bit of a hassle to say. So yeah, I don't use the word friend very lightly anyway. And the thing is with building friendships is that proximity is a very vital ingredient. I do not live a lifestyle that is very conducive to fostering proximity. Even if I were to join like a hobby club or something, the fact that I never really know where I will be, because even right now I'm considering quitting my job. I still haven't figured out where I will be moving to. Will I still be in China? Will I still be working? You know, like, I don't know where I'm going to be. So a lot of times after 5 years of living this way now, it kind of makes it kind of easier and also harder to make friends, because you can kind of like tell if I meet someone and I've studied them for a while, then I will run like a simulation in my head and be like, where is this relationship going to go? And 99% of the time we're gonna meet and we're gonna like maybe get off like a house on fire for a while, and then that's going to fizzle out because we have responsibilities, or we don't live in the same city or wherever, or I'm leaving or they're leaving, and then life goes on. And that's kind of like, it's not a judgment, it's just like me being like descriptive. um and yeah, so it is on me because no one is holding a gun to my head telling me to live this lifestyle. So I'm not complaining about it, I'm just being honest, like, about how I ended up where I currently am. So yeah, and also I'm not sure if I communicated it that well, but it kind of sounded like I've never made any friends here in China, which is not true. I had people that um, I would consider as I was building a friendship with, but as I mentioned, for reasons of proximity and also just me eventually realizing that we're not compatible. Yeah, for those reasons, those friendships like fizzled out or they ended. And other friendships that I've made in like the other spaces that I've lived in have also just like slowly faded out. And the current, like my current living situation is also not really helping me. I live on the school dorms at the school that I'm working at, and basically living and working in the same place means that it's comfortable, but it also makes it that much harder for you to want to leave your place and go outside if everything that you need is just like 3 minutes away from each other. So I spend the majority of my day like on my school rounds, and I also live on the 5th floor of my building, so that takes like, it takes me ages to like convince myself like, hey, I need to leave my building and like go touch grass. So, and aside from living on the 5th floor, I mean, like, I don't even have like an elevator. So like if I leave my space, I need a good reason to do that, because it's annoying going down like 5 flights of stairs up and down just to like get like small errands done. So that's definitely not helping me. So yeah, and like on a more like closer, more intimate level, like another commenter like brought up the fact that maybe like there's something wrong with my personality that's prevented me from making friends. And you know what? They're not wrong. Like, yeah, it is my personality, and I love my personality. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and I don't want to change anything about it. I am almost fucking 30 years old. I'm at peace with who I am. I am in love with who I am, and I think I have like lots of great values, and I have a lot of love to give to people. And because I know, or I consider myself valuable, I am very, very, very careful to not waste my time with people who not necessarily are undeserving, but who I feel do not have the capacity to reciprocate on the level that I feel that I need to make me feel like secure in whatever type of relationship, be it platonic or otherwise. So yeah, like I said, the lifestyle is definitely not helping me. And also I have like some responsibilities at home that are kind of like limiting me financially. So even though I am pretty okay with the salary that I'm earning here, I am limited in terms of like doing everything or participating in the things that I really like kind of want to do and sign up for, because I have to save money. Since like the thing that I am prioritizing at the moment is like traveling, since that's not something that I'm willing to like give up, and traveling costs money. So yeah, kind of like in a hell of my own making. And like I said, I'm not complaining, I'm just like describing like how I got here. And yeah, just like the fact that I move around a lot. And also I kind of find like just people are kind of lazy when it comes to relationships in general, because most people, or those of us who aren't facing or struggling with loneliness, have people in their lives that they've known for like many years. And why should they go out of their way to like accommodate some newcomer? Like, and that's like irrespective of the fact of whether they're Chinese or foreign, whatever. So that's no longer like, the fact that I'm here in China is no longer like what's the word, like present in like this section of my, not argument, but of my story. So yeah, and then I'm also someone who is trying to spend as much time offline as possible. I don't like Instagram. I don't like how lazy it's made us. Like, don't send me a fucking reel. and think of that as like, I don't know. I don't like relationships. I don't just like my shit and think that that counts as interacting with me or building a relationship with me. I hate it. I fucking hate it. That's why I don't even use the Instagram as much or at all. Like, dude, I drop like a bunch of videos or posts twice a year. Honestly, it's just like a glorified photo album at this point. So yeah, just those are factors that I think have definitely like led to where I currently am. And then to be zooming in even closer to why I think I am where I am, is the fact that I'm an ambivert, I'd say. Like, I do love hanging out and meeting people, but I am very, very picky about where those places are that I'm going to be meeting people. Like, I do not really do bars and clubs anymore. I had my fun back in uni. Just that era is like kind of over for me. If I'm going to go out, it will be to an event or a festival or some type of hobby that I feel that I want to get better at. And not that those options don't exist here, but the ones that I'm interested in, I either A, don't have the money to participate in it, because back when I was in Korea, I had like an archery like meetup that I would go to, and I developed like very good like friendships because I had proximity and time to develop those friendships, which I don't have here. So yeah, I was able to make some friends doing that. And I mean, I guess I'm into hiking, but now it's like cold as shit, so it's winter, it's cold. I'm not really like outside as much, so yeah, right now I'm not as social as I would like to be. And also, like, I had a friend here last year, and like that one friend was enough. He was a colleague of mine and he got fired, so I was down one friend, and all the other connections that I made through him also kind of just like fizzled out because we didn't have like a connecting factor anymore, because I didn't like them that much to be like willingly go out of my way to spend time with them. A lot of the expats here that I've met are kind of like low-key insane. So, and not like a fun insane. Like, I don't mind insane people. I think I'm a little bit cuckoo as well, but my cuckoo was not matching with theirs. So it definitely is like a personality thing where I am, like I said, I'm very intentional about the connections that I'm making. And unfortunately, I've just been meeting people who were deal breakers for me. And like, I think humans are annoying, present company included, and I have space for that I will find others annoying and other people will find me annoying. So this whole idea of people not wanting to be villagers but wanting a community, I guess it has some validity, but with me it's just like deal breakers, man. I'm getting so tired of meeting people and then it's like, oh, you're a racist. Oh, you're a flat earther. Oh, you're a misogynist. That's nice. None of these are like helping me wanting to be your friend. Or I've met people who they've seemingly passed those checks and then later on they were kind of just like crappy people in general, and then like their mask slipped. So I've had like a couple of very like bad relationships. Had like a couple of bad experiences with people lately, and that has also just like contributed to me not wanting to try to meet people as much. So definitely have like some factor of trust issues, which I'm working through at the moment. So yeah, and then another thing that I said that I wanted to bring up in this video is I had a comment of like on one of my shorts saying that they find it unbelievable that I mean, I'm not ugly, you know, like I'm not a supermodel, but I have eyes, guys. I can see myself. I don't think I'm unattractive by any means. So with being like a certain level of like conventionally attractive, you get exposed to very weird sides of people. And it was something that I really connected the dots on a little late in my life. Yeah, it just, I don't know. People are strange, but I feel like I've had very, very strange experiences with people. And I think my face has something to do with that. And yeah, that hasn't been helping me either. So I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not, oh yeah, I just wanted to like preface this with saying, like, I am not looking for fucking advice on how to make friends and how to make them. I just need to figure out where I want to like place myself in the world within the next few months, because I need to make that decision soon. And yeah, just the idea of, like, it's like that commenter said, like, a conventionally attractive person not having friends is like unbelievable. It's just a very chronically online take, because having a face that others find attractive or a body, whatever, does not shield you from all of these other factors that I've mentioned that are at play when it comes to fostering human connections. Yeah, so I am very, very, very intentional at this stage of my life. I don't have the time to just be faffing about and shooting the shit with people anymore. I don't have that time or the energy or the desire. So yeah, definitely I am part of the drama for sure. And so is my environment. And I'm in this perfect cocktail of just solitude, essentially. And also, I don't hate it. I really don't. I am someone who's very comfortable with themselves. I just love listening to nothing sometimes. Like right now, it's peaceful. There are birds chirping. I can hear the leaves. No, there's no leaves today, but yeah, I'm very comfortable with being with myself, and I would rather choose my own company over people that make me feel alone. Over and over again. That's not something that I'm willing to like negotiate. And do you call that having high standards? Yeah. And I think that's okay. Some of us are meant to live lives where they're surrounded by lots of people. Some of us aren't. And in me, like, being this intentional about pursuing relationships that have depth and meaning, I by no means feel entitled that the next person that I meet or people that I've kind of like started to build friendships with, I don't expect that as like a guarantee to develop into like a deep friendship. I'm also a little bit like hands off in that regard. I do not like to force people to do things that they don't want to do. If someone is showing me hesitation or an inability to meet me where I'm at, that is okay. I will respect that, and I will just like peace out and wish them the best and go on with my life. I don't like the idea of holding people hostage. Like the moment that I feel that someone is interacting with me out of a sense of like obligation or pity or whatever else, I don't like that. So I'll just be like, you know what, this is not working for me, peace out. So yeah, anyway, so I think I have rambled enough about this. Are you someone who's dealing with loneliness? What has led you to be in the situation that you're at? If you're someone who saw like some commonalities with me, and then I feel like there's something that I missed that I didn't discuss today, but maybe I will at another time. But I think what I've said now is sufficient, and also my battery's gonna run out soon. Anyway, I really hope there were some cool birds in the background. That would have been very cute to capture. I think I'll be going back now to my apartment. I have some chores that I need to finish up, and then maybe watch some anime. Yeah, that's gonna be my day. I look forward to it, and I also look forward to hearing from you. If you had anything that you want to share with me, please do that. Please do so below in the comments. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, all of the good buttons, and have a beautiful day or night wherever you are. and see you on the other side.